Okay, so this week we're looking at devising, the devising section of our product and documentation. So I just wanted to please remind me to give you this, so you've got this sheet here, but also refer to the other handouts I've given you. I think I've given you one that shows how Dana did this from last year. I've showed you, lots of documentation stuff. So I presented again on the PowerPoint, but you've got hard copies of a lot of this stuff. Okay, to ensure that you have a clear vision for the purpose of the devising summary. So lots of people are like, we've done an investigating summary, why do we need to do this devising summary? The first answer is that it's just what the subject requires, but the second is to ensure you've got a clear vision for your colour scheme, fonts, images and layouts for your magazine pages. It is similar to the investigating summary, but it is important to remember it fills a different purpose in the design process and in your assessment criteria. So if we have a look at this little Word document here that outlines everything, you can see that there's similarities between investigating and devising, but there's differences there as well. Your devising summary should be about 300 to 400 words, and this time you do need to include the words in the table, because this is one of the key components of it. And there are alternate ways of presenting the devising summary, so you don't have to do it exactly like I've laid it out. You can, do it your own way as well. These are the assessment criteria that I wanted to go through, because this is what you should all be aiming for, the A grade. So comprehensive understanding of the most appropriate hardware and software for the completion of text-based communication tasks. In a nutshell, that means that have you used Photoshop to manipulate images? Because that is the most professional way of manipulating images. Have you used InDesign to work out your article? Have you used Illustrator to do this, that, and the other? So by putting those separate things into that table, like what have you used Photoshop for? What have you used this for? That is directly getting at that assessment criteria. Comprehensive understanding of the design process in planning, producing and evaluating text-based products. That's why, to fulfill that criteria, that's why we do the investigating summary, the devising summary. That's why we split this whole documentation into 4 key sections, okay? Development and application, discerning, selection and highly proficient use of appropriate hardware and software. That means how creative and professionally have you used Illustrator? How many skills have you showed in InDesign? That's why I make you do the drop caps, the pull quotes, the differences in leading and kerning, because they all show high proficient use. So if I say to you, look, I love your design, I love the minimalism of it, but I need you to actually, I'm just going to turn the power on here. It's really good when you're trying to charge your computer. That is because I want you to show technique rather than just, it's lovely to have a minimalist design, but you want to get the marks, so you need to show techniques, more techniques. Highly proficient application of manipulative and organization skills. That means, have you been able to organize all your different documents really well? Have you been able to document things properly? Consistent and thoughtful application of layout. This is a key one, consistent and thoughtful. That means you don't have different fonts for your body text. It means you have the same sort of footer at the bottom of your contents page in your article to show that it all comes from one magazine. Consistent and thoughtful application of layout and design principles. So that means that you've used contrast. I can see evidence of repetition, alignment and proximity. Comprehensive and well-considered application of the design process. That means you've documented things really well. And the analysis and evaluation section, discerning and thorough evaluation of text-based products. So that's your CRAP analyses, and the design process used. So that's when we do our evaluation at the end. Is there any questions about that assessment criteria? So I think at this stage of the term, you can understand how each one of those actually relates to what we are doing in class. So the devising, so we've got the devising summary, which I've, you've got that outline for. These are devising plans. So each page, this one got an A. This is from the SACE example. Each page of your magazine will have to have one of these plans. They're tedious to make, but they're not very hard. So this is an excellent example of one, and you can see on there that they've got that assessment criteria right there. And you can see that they've got the colour of the text, the font, the size, the style, the colour of the background. They've also got, and these are really good to go through, they've also got what sort of picture it will be, like maybe model picture or something like that. So it gives a lot of information. So if you were in a professional sort of design company and maybe Ruby designed the sort of feel of the magazine, and I was like the lackey who had to put all the fonts in and make it happen, then I would know exactly what she wanted everything to look like. I'd know exactly where to get my images from. I need to go and get Fox's photograph one and put that in there. So that's what it's for, is to make it a plan. This one is a C grade. And you can see the difference, especially like this is one of the plans here for the magazine cover. You can see the difference between that one. It's got heaps of detail about colours, point sizes and fonts. And this one has just got basic title, Article 1 travel tips. It doesn't have any information on there, and you can see the comment on there. Okay, so to obtain a higher level of achievement, the plan could include details of fonts to be used, including sizes and colours, and a description of the main image. So these comments from the moderators are really important because they show you what's missing from that. So if I go to you, oh look, you need to add more detail to your plan, this is a C grade, then you know that it's because you need to add more detail with these things here. Sometimes, and I encourage you to do this too, but when we're talking about colour schemes, you can actually present the colour schemes like little colour boxes or circles and talk about their, if you can do the hex number or the RGB or whatever you like on that as well, just to give an idea of your colour scheme. How to make your plans accurate. So this is how to do it. So because you've all made your stuff already, we're sort of backtracking and filling in the gaps because you've already worked a little bit. You've made maybe an advertisement, which could be, at least a draft version. So in Illustrator, open up like your advertisement page and lower the opacity so that you can still see it slightly, and then use boxes or shapes to outline where the key parts of the design will be placed. So you're basically going to start off with, do I have texters in here? Okay. So you're basically going to start off with your design and you're just going to copy over the top of it where different sections go. Does that make sense? So if you had your article, you would have your article on the screen and you'd draw a box the size of the header, and then you'd write title, font size, blah, 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 blah. Then you would do the columns for your body text and put what was going to go in there. So you've already planned it. You just need to, you've technically already planned it. You just need to make the plans now. We're working backwards, which is a little bit cheeky, but I think it's the best way to do it. So use text to describe the following. A brief overview of the text. This could be the name of your masthead or article introduction. That's fine to write. The colour of the font, the background colour if there is one, font name, style, size, and any other necessary details such as a description of the image to be used. So for Tegan's front cover, she could have, she's got a central image of pot plants and feet. So she could put central image main image is a photograph of pot plants and feet. Okay, so just a brief description. Does anybody have any questions with that? The pages, the plans should be A4 size. So I would make them as so they need to be in proportion. So you could, if we go back to this one here, you can see that that would have been an A4 sort of size, and they've it on maybe Illustrator, and then they've saved it, and then they've made it smaller so it fits on a bigger A4 size. Does that make sense? Make sure they're all the same size. There's nothing worse than like somebody handing up a one page which is that size, and then another one which is like a totally different size. Just try and keep them as consistent as possible. How many plans do I need to do? You need one plan for each page. So you have one for the cover. If you have a 2-page contents page, you have 2 plans. So one for each page. Does that make sense? Yeah. What happens if I change my magazine cover or the design? You will change and update your magazine cover and design, but you do not need to change your plans. You will write about any major changes in your evaluation. Okay? So this is an example of Ruby's planning and devising, and you can see how simple it would have been for her to make her plans. You could even, I actually really like it with the placement boxes. So you could even screenshot the placement boxes, and that, as long as you've got all the correct text on there, that could be, you know, part of your plan, or you could just do it with normal boxes. So I'm just trying to find my mouse. This is the C criteria. I thought it was just really important to go through this too, to see the differences. So if you've got an informed understanding of appropriate hardware and software, that means you know that Photoshop is used for photographs and images, but you're not writing about how you're using it to manipulate certain things. So to get that A, you need to be quite specific. If you've got a competent application of layout and design principles, that means you've done an okay job. You're competent. It looks like a magazine, but it's not highly discerning, okay? So it's really important to understand the differences between the C and the A level. This is a devising summary that I think this is Dana's from last year, and she got an A. So you can see she's written about what the software and the hardware for each of the pages or the sections. She's talked about her fonts, she's talked about her colour scheme and her layout. What most people do also to make sure they've got that discerning rather than competent, this is the example from the thing, they actually do a page like this which goes through the different typography. I know some people have already started something like this. Did the different fonts and the different sizes they're used for, and all that sort of stuff. I like how she's got the tracking and anything else that, you know, is a bit different. Okay, this is an example of how you can look at colour schemes, you know, like have that blob of colour there, and then the RGB numbers for it. So if Ruby wanted to take my colour schemes and put it in her magazine, she would know exactly what to do. She wouldn't just get a random teal colour. She would know exactly the colour I wanted. Does anybody have any questions? No. So basically this week, you're doing that devising summary and you're making your plans. Okay? This will all be due on Tuesday, or I'll check it on Tuesday. From now on, nothing is really due. I will be checking everything because we're sort of bringing everything together now. So instead of I don't want to use the words it's fine, you know, this is a final due date, because there's lots of feedback this week, okay? Because some of you probably still finishing off your advertisements and things like that. I've got to stop recording now.